So, you want to make training a want to, not a have to, huh? You've come to the right place. I'm Joe Urbanski, still bald, with this Total Solutions Group. And I'm thrilled that you're joining me for this 4-part series to make training a want to, not a have to. When people feel like they have to go to training, do you think they're going to learn? Do you think they're going to appreciate the time there? Do you think they're going to say, this was time well spent? No. So we've got to make them want to be there, right? That's the trick. So we've got a 4-part series. The first video, we're going to focus on make training fun again. Because if they're not having fun, are they going to learn anything anyway? No, probably not. The second video will cover building a relationship with that audience. Third video, we're going to cover focus on not speaking. And then the fourth video, bonus, negotiations from the stage. In fact, almost everything that we do is a negotiation. So let's start here with this video, make training fun again. We've all experienced it in some way where you've had great content, but you've been bored out of your mind. And you know that. Perhaps you even walked into a session and then walked immediately out of it, or at least mentally. You walked out of it. You said, you know what, this is not worth my time. I check out. You know, you just kind of check out. In fact, if you answer the question, most training and lectures, ... what would you say? Most of the time when I ask this question, people say, suck. They say boring. They say are long and drawn out and monotonous and irrelevant, things like that. Why don't people say most training and lectures inspire me? Most training and lectures are fun. Most training and lectures teach me something awesome. That's not the response, but that is what we need to get to. So what ultimately makes training not fun? It's that they're monotonous. It's that they're boring. It's that they're irrelevant. So we've got to approach this a little differently. So here at TSG, at the Total Solutions Group, we like to say, if you hate lectures, you're going to love what we do, because we got 3 promises. We make sure that everything's fun, we make sure that we learn stuff, and lastly, that we feel empowered to actually do something with the material. Because the biggest problem that we have is people walk in and out and then they move on to the rest of their lives, right? So we've got to make sure that we make it fun so that people want to be there. They want to learn. They want to open up their minds. They want to open up their spirits. They learn, of course, they've got to learn some great stuff. And then lastly, they feel like they can do something with it. So I've got to start here with you and ask you the big question is why? Why are you here right now? Why are you taking the time to enjoy, appreciate, experience this video? Why? Take a moment, think about that. Right now. Yes, right now. You don't have to pause the video. I'm giving you the time right now. Why is this important to you? What is the deeper purpose? You know, what's really most important to your organization, your team, the people in your audience? What's really most important to you? Because we've got to remember something really huge, and it changes the whole dynamic of how we operate. It's simply this. We don't teach content. We teach people. So we have to be able to connect with people. But you can't connect with other people until you first connect with yourself, right? And ultimately, what it is that we want to do with those people is we want to create significant emotional events. That's our job. That's why they're going to remember things. That's why you remember things. In fact, the mind never forgets what the heart remembers. So let's make sure that we do our job as educators, facilitators, trainers, however you look at yourself. We've got to make sure that we tap not only into their minds with intellectual content, but into their hearts to inspire them. Because we can look at people as, let's say people are a glass, right? And we pour the content into the glass. We're pouring this information. We're dumping it in, dumping. Again, that's great, but every glass is different. Some glasses are older than others, right? Some glasses are different colors, different shapes, different sizes, different experience. Some are cracked and broken. Some are chipped. Some are tinted. Every person's glass, however we accept that information, the way we receive the information is totally different than everybody else's. So it's not about the content, it's about the context. In fact, Horace Mann put out this great quote a while ago. It's a teacher who is attempting to teach without inspiring the pupil with a desire to learn is hammering on a cold iron. You try to make a sword that's cold, Try banging a hammer onto a metal pole. See if you could ever flatten that out. It's never going to happen. Not going to happen. So our job is to heat it up, to warm it up, to warm up the people to us, and then to the material. We've got to build that relationship. In fact, Ben Franklin, another great quote, tell me, I'll forget. Show me, I'll remember. Involve me, I will understand. So I'm going to involve you right now. And I want you to reconnect to that purpose. Why do you do what you do? If you do not have an answer in 30 seconds, stop doing it. You better have that answer. I say this because I'm passionate, but my job, I've shared this with you before, is to rid the world of shitty trainers. Shitty trainers, they don't know why they're doing this. They do it because they want to educate people and they want to dump information on and they want to be the expert. Guess what? You are not the expert. Google is the expert. YouTube is the expert. Newspapers are the expert. Magazines, people's friends. You don't need to be the expert. Content is everywhere. Your job is not to be a content expert. It's to be a context. Hear me. Context expert. Okay? And here's how we do that. This is our empowered learning model that I've shared with you. We've got to teach people, learn, and then say, then do, then reflect. So we've got to learn this information together. So we learn it, then we say it, then we actually do something with it, and then we reflect. And that is how everything happens. That is how we learn. So this is kind of a quick recap, a quick review of the learn, say, do, reflect model. As we develop material, as we deliver that material, we've got to make sure that it covers these 4 parts of empowered learning. Again, learning that makes people feel empowered to do something with it. They've got to learn something, and there's so many different ways that we can teach people. Of course, that's easy. They've got to receive that information in multiple ways, not just lecture, but so many different ways. And make it fun. Make it humorous. Throw a video, play some music in there. Come on, do something different. I'm passionate, clearly, right? And then say. Get them to call it back. Get them to write things down so they're talking to themselves, crazy people, right? And then share it for confidence. In fact, every time we share something with somebody else in that room and they nod their heads or they say, oh yeah, or they say yes, they're reinforcing our ideas, which is brilliant, right? And then do, we've got to get them to do something. They've got to play this game. You can't teach someone to ride a bike by telling them how to do it. They actually have to get on the bike. And then lastly is reflect. Let's reflect on the learning, because guess what? As soon as people walk out of there, they go on to the rest of their lives. That's the biggest problem with training and education and learning and motivational speakers and your classes. They go somewhere else as soon as they're done. They don't actually reflect on what they're learning, right? So that's kind of the biggest thing that I want to get into here, and we'll wrap up this video in a few minutes here. But I do want to point this out. This is huge, 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 right? You can be a speaker, and a speaker speaks. You could be a teacher, and you can teach. You can be a trainer, and of course, you could train people how to do stuff. My suggestion is, whatever your role, whatever your title is, I want you to be a facilitator. I want you to facilitate a conversation. Ultimately, you can get to the point where you're a coach and or consultant, where you know the material, you know the people, you know the experience so well that they come to you, they trust you, and you can say, hey, based on our relationship, here's what I suggest you do. But you might not know these people, so you got to facilitate that relationship. And the difference between a facilitator, trainer, coach, and consultant is simply this, is they ask, they listen, like I'm doing now. I'm asking you questions. If I could, I would listen to you. Super hearing, right? They promote thinking. They create learning. This isn't about their own agenda. It's relationship driven. This is about the context of the relationship you have. It's an unknown outcome, because who knows where that relationship is going to go if you focus it on them, not on you, right? You are a group member in this process. This is a part of a process. You have a process for how you're going to facilitate. Learn, say, do, reflect. This is how we facilitate learning. And then you are measured by other people's success, not by your own knowledge or your expertise, or not by the way you present, but you're measured by how other people respond. So please remember this. It's not about the agenda. It's about that relationship. What we do is a privilege. This is a privilege and an obligation. You have to feel like, hey, this is great that I get to do this. If you feel like you have to, get the hell out. But if you feel like you get to do this, don't forget that you have to. This is an obligation. So I kind of leave you with this really big question here, and it's simply this, is where do you see education and training in 5 to 10 years? And how is your role evolving? A long time ago, we used to dump information into people. We used to just teach, educate, educate, educate. But guess what? The word educate means to draw out, to bring forth. So I want you to draw information out, to bring it forth, to build a relationship where you're not the only one who knows all of the information. The other people do as well. That is the biggest evolution that we've seen so far. Is if you hate lectures, you're going to love what I do. And not to toot my own horn, but at a recent conference, I got 94%. 94%. When you ask people, did they enjoy it? Did they learn something? You add all the numbers up, it was 94%. And it's because I didn't just dump information in. It's because it was a relationship. I pulled it out. Everyone was a part of the experience and they knew that they were in charge. Not me, they were. So if you want to make training fun again, don't make it about you, make it about us. Thanks for joining me. This is the longest video. I promise the rest of them will be shorter. We're approaching 11 minutes here. So thank you so much for your commitment. I promise I'll keep the rest of them a little bit shorter, but make training a want to, not a have to, and it starts with you.